everybody's attention? I think so. Can I have everybody's attention? We have quiet in the room so I don't have to scream. Hello, we're about to get started here. Hello everybody, I am Tom Royer. I am Beachbrook's new president and CEO, and I would like to welcome everybody here to celebrate Deb's career and retirement. It just dawned on me just a second that I used to tease Debbie a lot about coming up here with her notes typed out in 18-point font with her readers on, and I just found myself standing here with notes in 18-point font with readers on. I know it means a lot to Deb to have so many friends and colleagues here from all phases of her career. This is a very special event. It's to celebrate Debbie's entire career, not just her career here at Beachbrook. And the thread that binds all aspects of her career is her deep devotion to the cause of protecting children and preserving families. And as you'll see, this is not fleeting. It has an impact that's lasting. I'm very fortunate. I happened to get hired the same month as Debbie did here at Beachbrook, and our careers have really run in parallel. She's been my boss, she's been my mentor, and probably most importantly, my friend. I can't tell you how many stories I have about Debbie and how many opportunities she's allowed me to have here at Beachbrook. And I want you to know that Debbie doesn't just care about the children and families that we serve. She also cares deeply about the staff here at Beachbrook and the staff that she's worked with over her years. I think the mic just went out. Okay, but now it's back on. I just want to tell you one personal story about Debbie that impacted my life. When I came to Beachbrook, I was 22 years old and 2 classes shy of my bachelor's degree. And my parents goaded me to go back to school, and my friends told me I needed to go back to school, and my sister told me I needed to go back to school. My wife told me I needed to go back to school. They all failed. But Debbie was very persistent, and she kept on me. I didn't really think it was going to make me very much smarter. But where everybody else failed, Debbie succeeded, and I went back to school. And then several years later, Debbie said, you know, if you really want to advance in your career, you should go back and get your master's degree. I thought that was a dreadful idea. I'll do the 2 classes for you, but I don't know if I'm going to commit another 2 years. But she persisted, and I went back and I did get my master's degree. And really, her caring about me personally and her persistence, which is one of her trademarks, really changed both the trajectory of my career and really the trajectory of my life. And that doesn't even speak to the number of opportunities that she presented, to me, and the risks that she took on me, during the 26 years that we've worked together. And I really want to thank you for that. It's very special to me, and I'll never forget it. Debbie also really has cared about Beachbrook as an organization. When Debbie came here, Beachbrook didn't have a management philosophy, and she and Mario did a lot of research and a lot of benchmarking, and they brought the learning organization to Beachbrook. It was really a foreign concept to the organization, and the organization really pushed back, but again, Debbie especially was very persistent with bringing that learning organization to Beachbrook. But it brought with it also a brand new language. Use the cycle. Identify the elephant in the room. We need a straw horse to beat up. And it's time to jump off the diving board. A passerby might hear those words and think that Debbie was running a circus. And at times she was. But that philosophy is also enduring. It's still here today, and we live it and breathe it every single day, and it's really part of our culture. So it also lasts. Deb has also had a big impact both regionally and statewide, and her most recent big impact is really advocating for the passing of House Bill 50, which provides funding for kids who are aging out of foster care. Most of the time, or many times, kids aging out of foster care would turn 18, they would have no home, no family, and really no hope. House Bill 50 provides funding to help them with housing, education, and employment. And those young adults and our state as a whole is going to really be better because of that. One of our speakers, Tracy Plauk, the director of the Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services, had a last-minute conflict, and she was not able to be here today, but she did want to recognize Deb's contributions to behavioral health as well. And while she couldn't be here in person, Tracy did write a letter, and I'd like to read a quote from that letter that speaks to Deb's impact. Reflecting on my interactions with you, I've been very impressed at the support and leadership you provided to families and staff during periods of crisis. In the past 7 years that I've had the opportunity to work with you, unexpected and traumatic violence has touched Beechbrook in different ways. Through each event, you have worked with your staff to respond with determination, poise, and as always, organization. Most important, though, you've helped countless children and families begin their treatment in an appropriate setting that smooths their transition into a lifetime of recovery. Again, mentioning persistence and lasting impact. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors and thank you for your service. It has truly been a pleasure to work with you. Best regards, Tracy Plauk. In addition, Debbie has also received a proclamation from Governor Kasich. The proclamation reads, John R. Kasich and Mary Taylor, Governor and Lieutenant Governor of Ohio, do hereby officially recognize Debra Rex upon your retirement from Beechbrook. On the behalf of the state of Ohio, we are proud to recognize your retirement as President and CEO of Beechbrook. Throughout the past 26 years, you've been a tremendous asset to Beechbrook, its clients, and to the men and women who have had the opportunity to work with you. We commend your leadership, and we thank you for the positive difference you've made in your community. Best wishes for continued success in all your future endeavors. Signed, John R. Kasich, Governor, and Mary Taylor, Lieutenant Governor.
That's great.
It is a Beechbrook tradition during these events to allow anybody who would like to speak to come up front and say a few words about the person that we're celebrating. But you can tell by the number of people in the room that we will really not be able to do that, or we will be here until midnight, and that really isn't the plan. But we do have a few people who would like to speak, and these are people who have supported her and been supported by her, who have advised her and been advised by her, who have care for her and love her, and who have been cared for and loved by her. And they would like to say a few words. And I would like to introduce Brandon Miller, Beechbrook's chair of our board of directors.
Good afternoon, everyone. So as Tom had mentioned, I'm sure there's quite a few of you that have known Deb for quite a long time, probably have some good stories to tell. I'm a little bit different. I've only known Deb for only a few years. I met her when I came in to interview for a board position for Beechbrook. When I first met Deb, I think one main thing that sold me on Beechbrook was the passion she had. I'm sure you'll probably hear that over and over again today about her passion for Beechbrook. And when I was trying to decide on which board to be involved with, that really is what sold me about Beechbrook, was her strong passion. I felt that if the executive director had this passion about the organization, and it'd be easy for me as a board member to get involved and to volunteer my time. So I can probably say that on my behalf, and I'm sure a lot of the other board members that have been that have come through Beechbrook and that are currently on Beechbrook's board. When I joined the board, I thought this organization, it's been in existence for so many years, would be pretty status quo, right? As we all know, there really wouldn't be much activity within Beechbrook. Everything was kind of moving pretty smoothly, right? As we all know, it's been everything but that. The last few years, we've had to make some very difficult decisions. But I think, knowing that how passionate Deb was about Beechbrook and really truly wanting to help the children in the community, I really always took comfort that her guidance and leadership and every thought that she had about where Beechbrook was going to go was truly about the community and the kids. And to me, that made me feel as though the decisions and the comments and all the strategy we talked about on the board, was really solid and thoughtful and very meaningful, and it helped me make those right decisions as well. I'm sure the other board members did as well. So thank you, Deb, for that, to help us with those decisions. That meant a lot. One of the most important responsibilities of a leader is how you transition your role. I feel Beechbrook is positioned for success in the years to come. which is not really a result of what Deb did during her tenure, but I think what she's most recently done with the transition of Tom. As Tom mentioned, he's been here for 20-some years, and a lot of that under Deb's wing and Mario's wing as well. And I think what's been important has been her ability to get Tom ready for that position, and the ability also to help Tom with creating a very strong leadership. If you look at the leadership within Beechbrook right now, with the new additions that we've had, the CFO and executive VP positions, we're really positioned to move in a strong position. So those of you out there, donors, funders, current board members, which I'm sure you probably already know this, that very excited for where Beechbrook is going to continue. Very strong group. A lot of that is a result of what Deb has put in place for us and has been put in place for the organization. So Deb, thank you for all your years of service, your dedication, leadership, community first mentality, and helping all of us board members get onto the board and be a part of this great organization. So thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Phil Dawson, former board chair and continuing friend. Being the chief executive in charge of a multi-million-dollar business is by any definition difficult. Even when that business is a single product business, budgets, scores of employee matters, competition, technology changes. Now imagine that the product is not some single consumable, get healthier, now rules and laws from a dozen federal, state, and local government bodies and agencies, and the challenges to be successful, even occasionally, appear overwhelming. And yet, Beechbrook's continued year in and year out success can't be denied. And the fact that Beechbrook is held up as the bellwether for the entire industry. Debra Rex is the kind of chief executive that business school case studies are written about. By the way, in my view, the same can be said of Mario Tanti. Deb worked tirelessly to improve the lives of many in need, while at the same time doing all she could at all levels of government to improve the environment for the entire mental health industry. She is their champion. Deb always surrounded herself with excellent employees. Tom Royer is one example. She sought out and enlisted excellent board members to strengthen the agency's face to the public, always important when fundraising is important. Deb simply was born to be a CEO because of her smarts. And Deb was born to be a CEO of a nonprofit because of her heart.
Good evening. This is a wonderful occasion, and it's so nice to see so many people who are part of the family that has been Beechbrook. I was going to talk a lot about how Deb and I figured out the learning organization. But yesterday, Deb and I were talking about how difficult it was for a woman to be in a leadership role, and how it really strained her at times. And there's a lot of stories they could tell about how she managed to overcome those difficulties. But there's one of the things that we did during our time here was we, as part of the learning organization, would visit other organizations around the country, either in groups or in twos or threes. And I'm not quite sure where it was, but there was a meeting that we had, Kansas? It was in Kansas. I'm almost embarrassed to tell the story now. But I've learned a lot from Roberta, my wife, and I've learned a lot from Debbie. And sometimes those things happen in a moment, and sometimes they take a long time. Here's one of those moments. There was a group of, I'll say 8 people, eight Beechbrook people visiting a very fine residential program in Kansas. And we pulled over to have dinner. And we got out of the car, Debbie was driving, and she locked the keys in the car. Well, I hit the roof. All of my old maleness came to the floor. And she handled it beautifully. She ignored me. Turned around and walked away. And it was an important lesson that I learned. One of many. I could spend hours here talking about the many things that I've learned from you, Debbie. Another one that is truly been impactful is how to write. Debbie's one of the best grant writers that has ever come down the pipe. In fact, Goldie Alves, who was the head of the Cleveland Foundation's grants for children, told me that of all the grants she's ever gotten, the best ones that were ever written were written by Debra Rex. And I know that's true because I copied a lot of them. Deb, you know that there's no way I could possibly tell all the stories and share all the feelings, but I'm glad we're all here together to wish you the best, and I hope your retirement has been as fruitful as the time you've been here.
Thank you.
I'm Mark Meekum. I am the leader of the statewide association of agencies like Beachbrook. There's about 70 of them around Ohio. So I first wanted to say congratulations, Deb, on your retirement. What amazing accomplishments you've been responsible for here at Beachbrook, Cleveland area, and the entire state. So I've known Deb for 11 years. Deb has been a member, a client of the organization that I run. Deb has been my boss for 6 years as a member of our board of directors. She initially hired me as CEO. And Deb has also been a friend and mentor for me over the years, and I wanted to thank you again for all that. So I've learned a lot about Deb from you all today, from some of the past stories that you just heard. But there's one thing that many of you in the room don't know. It's Deb's impact on the statewide system of care for kids. As CEO, she not only prioritized Beachbrook and the needs of this community, but also the entire state. And she knew that if we improved the statewide system of care, statewide policies, that would trickle down to Beachbrook, to enable Beachbrook to have a better impact on kids. So 2 examples. There are many great things, well, I take that back. There's a few great things about Ohio's Medicaid program. And many of those great things are a direct result of Deb's advocacy and of her great ideas. She's probably the most active member of our association over the last several years, and we have a lot to be thankful for because of that. There's a lot of bad ideas that have been proposed in Medicaid that we've never heard of because they were shot down, largely because of Deb's advocacy. So I want to thank you for that as well. And Tom gave you a little preview about Deb's impact on foster care. So one more example. I led the campaign to extend support for foster kids who age out of foster care. The campaign hit a brick wall in the legislature, and the bill wasn't looking like it was going to pass. But Deb is so strategic. She helped me figure out alternative ways to keep it moving forward. She connected me with a state senator in this area. She arranged a meeting, and the next thing you know, a whole new bill was introduced, and we had an even more influential advocate in the legislature. Several months later, the bill passed into law. 2 weeks from today, it will be implemented, and Beachbrook will be one of the first providers of it in the state. Deb, you're leaving Beachbrook in a better place. You've groomed and grown so many great leaders, including Mr. Royer. I just wanted to give you one more congratulations. Thank you.
Also, so I guess that's a Beachbrook trait once you've been here so many years. But we all know that Deb is a great leader and a visionary. But Deb is also a hero. She's been a hero to me personally, and Debbie, I thank you for that. But more importantly, she's been a hero to countless families and children. And because of her commitment to the well-being of children and families, we are honoring you, Deb, by naming the family room at the Beachbrook Family Drop-In Center the Debra Rex Family Room. On behalf of the Beachbrook Family Health staff and the countless families, thousands of families we have provided service to, we thank you for your tireless effort. This is just a replica of what will be in the family room, and we don't want you to be a stranger.
I'm Andy Gonzalez. I have the privilege of knowing Deb. I tried to rename Interstate 71 the Debra Rex Highway. I was unsuccessful. However, I do want to share 3 instances that immediately, actually since last year when I heard you were retiring, that I wanted to share with the group. Instance number 1 was, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Andy Gonzalez and I'm the Chief of Police for the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority. I've been serving in that capacity for 10 years. And CMHA, we're actually, believe it or not, we're now the 8th largest housing authority in the United States, serving over 55,000 people. And a significant number of that are children. Single head of households and children. So, instance number 1, when the chief of police asked for help, he's in a struggle. He asked for, so who does he turn to? Well, I turn to Mark Singer. You all know Mark Singer? So I turn to Mark Singer and I say, one of the partners that we have has given us a little bit of a challenge in meeting the services that we had, and we were growing through our police assisted referral program. And we were getting a lot of more residents that needed services, and we needed to increase. And the service provider that we were working with, which will remain nameless at this point, just couldn't handle it. They either they couldn't handle it or they didn't want to handle it, one or the other. So I turned to Mark, I said, Mark, we need help because this thing's really good, it's taking off. So Mark says to me, he says, I got it. I go, you got it? I mean, I'm just sharing with you what's going on. He says, don't worry, I've been seeing this, I got it. I said, all right, what do you got? He says, I got Debra Rex. I said, well, who's Debra Rex and what does that mean? And he says, well, Debra Rex, the CEO of Beachbrook, and they're right next door. I've known Beachbrook for a long time. So I says, really, she's going to do this? She's going to step up and she's going to dedicate resources and services and really help us meet the need? She says, she doesn't know it, but she's going to do it. So I said, okay, cool. So we got a partner and we went forward. And I tell you, ever since that expanded partnership, Debra, you've been a lifesaver. It really has. Through your leadership, you gave us Terry, you gave us Ron, you gave us Tracy, and now I guess you've given us Tom. So, and it's just amazing. It really is. The second instance, they say that it's lonely at the top. Leaders, God, do I know this? It's lonely at the top. And I was reading in the news where our newfound partner, my best new buddy, Debra, she was getting bad press in the news, and so I reached out to her, and I said, Debra, you okay? What's going on? She was the most cheerful person that I says, I feel bad for you. She says, don't worry about it. We're going to remain a partner with you no matter what, but we're in it for the right reason. This is the right thing, and so we're going to move forward. I said, now that's a leader. That's leadership. In the middle of something bad, in the middle of bad press, in the middle of, cutting back on whatever you needed to cut back on, you still found a way. And then the third instance is of course, probably one of the most, I think, horrific things that ever happened in our community. And little did I know that I was going to get a phone call from Debra. And so she reaches out to me, she says, I need your help. I said, okay, what do you need? She tells me what's going on. And then we work through everything. And then a couple of days later, I'm absorbing what's going on. And I decided to reach back out to Debra. I said, Debra, are you okay? Because this does not happen to any CEO. What you're just going through is something that no chief of police ever goes through. Every once in a while we go through it, but my goodness, to deal with it. And I've watched her silently from afar, and just watched her with a steady hand provide leadership and guide the entire organization, not only through crisis management, but also remain a viable organization in our community in spite of what happened. So those three experiences that were for me are really meaningful. I've learned a lot from that. I've watched you. Plus, if you don't know, she's a great singer. I serve on the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center, and every 2 years we have, you sing, Tom?
No, I don't dance either.
All right. Well, every 2 years we have our biannual sing-out on behalf of the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center. And that's our opportunity to join voices. I head up what's called the lip sync section. But Debra is a great singer. And so, Debra, thank you for what you do for there. So, even though I was not able to rename Interstate 71 after Debra, I sure hope that you can find a little spot in your home or wherever your next stop is. And so, really humbly, this is to Debra Rex, President, CEO. Congratulations on your deserved retirement, and thank you for your dedication to CMHA and all our residents. CMHA, thank you guys.
Good evening. Members of the board, members of the staff, and friends of Beachbrook. My name is Jim Pender. I am the husband of Kathy Pender, who is a lifetime member of the board, and she is home and not feeling well. Therefore, I am pinch hitting, and I'll do the best I can. I have two things that I'm going to do. Number one is read a personal note from Kathy to Deb. I can assure you Kathy is absolutely devastated. By the way, let me go back just a little bit. I first heard about Beachbrook when Kathy and I were dating, and that was over 57 years ago. And I want to assure you that she has been committed to Beachbrook all of that time, and that commitment will continue in the future. Beachbrook has been such a wonderful place and is so important to us. Let me read you Kathy's note. Deb, I'm saddened by not being able to be with you tonight on this important occasion. But as I explained to you earlier today, I know I'm here, I will be there in spirit and love and support. Deb, it doesn't seem possible that as I will come in the doors of Beachbrook, you will not be in the office around the corner, a place that I could stop in and say hello or check in with you. I've been at Beachbrook all the years and that you have, and it's been my privilege to have worked with you on the board as chair and on different committees, to have learned from you, and to be a part of the many changes that have been made at Beachbrook. What is today, with its new mission of helping children and families thrive. Throughout your years of leadership, you have guided Beachbrook through a period of steady growth and expanded programming for children and families. You have been a tireless advocate for the most vulnerable children and families. We shared this passion, and we both will continue to do so. More important, Deb, you have become a very dear friend. And that is a position that will not go into retirement, but will continue to grow and be nurtured. Much love, Kathy. Thank you, Deb. And now it is my second pleasure to give a presentation that Kathy would be giving. And let me preface by saying this. The word humility is misused, I think, in many cases. And C.S. Lewis said, true humility is not thinking less of yourself, it is thinking of yourself less. We often miss that. I think Mr. Lewis probably had Debra Rex in mind when he said that. Who do you know that has ever spent more time thinking of others than Deb? Today, I have the privilege of making a very special presentation. Former and current board members, and of course staff members and other generous people, found a special way to honor Deb and her legacy, and her commitment for caring for children and families. Therefore, tonight, I am announcing the Debra Rex Fund for Positive Parenting has been established in her honor. Let me say it again. The Debra Rex Fund for Positive Parenting has been established in her honor. Let's applaud for that. The corpus of the fund, as of today, is a lot of money, but it's not enough. It's $20,000. Now, given the namesake, the Debra Rex Fund, and the purpose, I can assure you that that is only the start. Throughout her career, Deb has been dedicated to the idea the most effective way to break the terrible cycle of childhood abuse and neglect is to counsel and educate parents, many of whom were abused themselves, on how to nurture their children, provide positive and appropriate discipline, and express the unconditional love that every child deserves. Deb has proven that the lives of thousands of children and families have been changed by those three measures, and others, of course. She's created an innovative program, guided a dedicated staff on how to best serve their clients, and, as we just heard, advocated at the legislative level on behalf of this critical need. Therefore, each year, and I particularly like this part of this fund, the Debra Rex Fund will give an additional amount of support, depending on how much money we have, to a carefully selected Beachbrook program that has demonstrated effectiveness, positive outcomes, and excellence in service, thereby creating a little healthy internal competition at Beachbrook where everyone will benefit. Think about it, everybody will. Deb, would you join me at the podium, please? What a pleasure it is. I'm going to read this. Beachbrook's prevention and early intervention services are supported by the Debra Rex Fund for Positive Parenting, an endowed fund established in honor of Debra Rex's commitment to improving the lives of families and children and her years of exceptional service to Beachbrook. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you. So in concluding, I just want to say one of those will be at the administrative office and the other will be at the care center. I also would like to conclude by saying another word about C.S. Lewis. If he was here, I think he'd be very proud. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Deb's youngest brother, and they asked me to say a few words. I told her I'd be brief, and she kind of chuckled, said, "Yeah, right," just like our dad would have. You know, he'd have been here all night. But anyway, she wasn't shocked that I was going to say a few words. So I thought, well, what could I do that would really surprise her? And I thought, yeah, I know, I could sing. So I guess I'm going to both talk and sing at your retirement party. But the story that I want to tell, I'm going to go all the way back to when Deb was in high school. And I have to tell you before I get started that we had a wonderful mother that always would make breakfast in the morning for the kids before they went to school every day. And of course, at the time that I'm talking about, I was young enough, I wasn't in school yet, which meant, of course, I didn't have to get up, so I was the first one up. So anyway, but Mom would make breakfast, and I'd be up with her, and finally, when breakfast was ready, she'd say, "Go wake Debbie up." So I'd run as fast as I could and run into her bedroom and slam the door open, and I'd be singing, "You gotta get up, you gotta get up, you gotta get up in the morning." And for her entire 4 years of high school, that was her alarm clock. And so when I was asked to speak, I thought of that story, and I thought, well, would only be right for me to be the first one at her retirement party to tell her, "You don't gotta get up."
Transitions have always been hard for Debbie. She said every time she's made a transition, this is so hard for me. And tonight, there are people here from 3 organizations Debbie has led. And I wrote them down because I might forget them. I really wouldn't. Upward Bound, there's people from Upward Bound from the late 70s, early 80s. Bellflower Center, and of course, Beach. And of course, there's family and friends here, and thank all of you so much for being here. You're making it so much easier for Debbie. She's been crying. And before I continue, I think you can remove that Kyrie Irving slide now. Debbie has given everything she had, believe me, to all 3 organizations and to her family and her friends. And again, I cannot tell you what this means to her. There's 2 of her friends right there. So Tom and the organizers of this great event asked Danny and I to play a song. And we quickly said yes. 1, because we really wanted to, and 2, we really were forced to. They didn't tell us we'd be following a fantastic Beatles tribute band. We have rehearsed this song once. Shockingly, it's an old Beatle number. And music is by Paul McCartney. The tempo of the song is by John Lennon. And the lyrics are by Danny George.
And the message of tonight is reflecting these wonderful speeches. Has really been looking back at the legacy of service to this organization and to the children in our community that my mom has provided over the years. But the other message that we want to convey today is looking forward too, because there's a lot of life to be lived and a lot of purposeful activities and relationships to be had in the future. So that's kind of the theme of this song. As my dad said, we just whipped it up. You guys will all know the chorus, and God knows we'll need your help singing it.
And this is Emily.
Debra worked for decades down in Pepper Pine. spending all her time to helping you. Now she's free to do about anything she likes, something she earned, and yeah, you know that it's the truth. Everybody, oh-la-dee, oh-la-da, life goes on, life goes on. Oh-la-dee, oh-la-da, life goes on, life goes on. Managing nonprofits is a tiring task, even when they're helping to change lives. Good thing that her staff did everything she asked, or how else would she ever have survived? Oh-la-dee, oh-la-da, life goes on, life goes on. Oh-la-dee, oh-la-da, life goes on, life goes on. In a couple of years she has hopefully relaxed, practice saying no when Tom says to her, Deb, will you please come back? Happy ever after in her place. Debra knows that she's done what she can. Always part of Beachburg is no longer the face, and now she has time to spend time with her man. But down, life goes on, life goes on. Oh-la-dee, oh-la-da, life goes on, life goes on. And if you want some fun, sing oh-la-dee-la-da, hey, like you.
All I ever wanted to do was help kids. I mean, really. And I tried to think back on when did that start. And the earliest I can come back to is the day my brother Bill was brought home from the hospital, which was on my 12th birthday. And my mom said, Debbie, this is the best birthday gift you're ever going to get. My mom wasn't always right, but she was right then. And then there was, in college, I was hired by the city of Huntington, Indiana, where I'm from, to be the summer program leader in a high poverty area of our small city. And I led Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We were sort of the home for these children who really didn't have other places to go. And it was really an eye-opening experience for me. You know, I was 18, I thought my own family was very flawed, and I thought my parents didn't know anything, but I came to realize, my gosh, how much I have. And I had a management training program opportunity with whatever Dillard's used to be a long time ago, to go up the management ranks in that company, and I thought that sounded very cool and prestigious. I lasted 4 days. Because those 4 days, I thought, how can I care about this? How can I care about how many bras get sold? How can I from counting bras? I went to a payphone when he still had those. And I called the director of the Upward Bound program and I asked, do you still have the job I turned down 2 weeks ago? And if so, I'd really be interested. And that was really, I guess, the decision. And all along the way in my career, I've been offered other jobs or wooed for other jobs, one for Ma Bell and just a lot of other different for-profit things. And every day I would say to myself, whatever I do in work is going to be aggravating, it's going to be frustrating, you know, but I want it to be about something. I want it to be meaningful, and so I never ever left the field. My first professional job at Upward Bound was great. And I already said it was kids who had potential and helping them go to college and succeed. Many of whom had never even known about college or certainly didn't think it was within their realm of their possibility. And now some of them, and I'm still connected to many of them on Facebook, my husband sees some of them, they are lawyers, a Cleveland municipal judge, an environmental leader in the city for Carmel, Indiana, the superintendent of the Richmond Heights schools, and on and on. From that program today, I have 2 colleagues who were kind enough to come here, Cassandra Brown, who was my assistant director when I became the director of the program, and a student who then worked for me as a counselor, and with whom I worked with at least 3 or 4 of her family members too, Kathy Bricker. Wonderful people, and I'm so grateful to them for being here. But the kids that Upward Bound failed with almost always were because of family situations. It wasn't because they weren't motivated. It wasn't because they wouldn't work hard. It wasn't because they got in trouble. Some of them did, but it really wasn't because of that. The real problem was that their family situation was so unstable, they would get sucked back in and not be able to make it out. And that was frustrating for me, that to see over and over again kids with such high potential get sucked into family situations. So when the opportunity came to me from a friend, Rick Schiller, to apply for the director of a newly formed organization, Bellflower Center for Prevention of Child Abuse, I was very interested because it was going to establish a parenting center where we would work, where volunteers would come together and work with families. And it was on the campus of the Case Western Reserve campus. And to make a long story short, I was lucky enough to be hired and spent 9.5 really powerful years there building an organization with the help of the Junior League of Cleveland, the National Council of Jewish Women, and a number of self-identified abusive parents and Parents Anonymous who came together and forged a coalition that became a very powerful nonprofit organization in the prevention of child abuse. A number of people are here from that organization tonight too, which just touches me. Joyce Gordon, Pat Leach, Jody Rogoff, Bill Iman. Mike Leach wanted to be here and couldn't be here. Anyway, there also are staff people who were at Bellflower Center, many of whom came to Beachbrook afterwards. Jim Tamburo, Nancy Courtmeyer, Nancy Martin. Nancy Martin babysat Danny when he was born. There was a child care room at Bellflower Center, and she would come babysit so I could work. She was a social work student at the time. Anyway, Debbie Osgood, who is, I believe, here, and she helped us develop the Mothers of Toddlers program and did a lot of individual training there. Anyway, fueled by my new understanding of Danny, who was born about a year into my tenure there, we developed programs for teen mothers, system-involved parents, parents of toddlers, a volunteer staff 24 hotline, and developed a child care component to help kids, which interestingly enough was developed by somebody I've worked here now with for many years, Joan Blackburn. Is Joan here? Yeah. She had worked at the time at PEP, and she helped us develop a program that would really help with the kids who were sort of just bouncing off the wall so that they could have a positive experience. Another person from Bellflower, Chris Winsberg, who ended up coming to Beachbrook, and so I've had a long-standing relationship with them, and all of those people I consider, they are my friends. We are good friends, and I feel very fortunate. You know, one thing about Bellflower Center, and I really think it's true about people's time at Beachbrook too, people, when I see them who were from Bellflower Center days, consider it a transformative time in their life, whether they were a volunteer or a staff member or a board member or somebody who got services. There was something magical in what happened there. There was something really transformative that people's lives changed for the better, and it really stuck with them. So I always felt like there was an impact far beyond the work we were doing with parents and kids. But at any rate, after 9.5 years, I felt like I had taken the organization as far as I could take it, and I got a phone call from Mario, who had just taken the Beachbrook job almost a year before, and he had been on my board. He's another person from Bellflower. He had been on my board at Bellflower Center, as was Roberta, I believe. So anyway, he was just almost ready to have his 1-year anniversary, and he asked me if I would come work for him part-time. I want to reemphasize part-time. So I worked part-time 45 hours a week for about 6 months before I turned to him and said, this isn't part-time, is it? But anyway, that forged a powerful partnership, which really is one of the joys of my professional career, that Mario and I, who had such complementary skill sets, could come together, and if you want to talk about somebody who's humble, you could talk about Mario Tanti. And he was so able to share power and leadership, and together we were able to merge our talents, and we've said many times, 1 + 1 more than equaled more than 2. And it was a wonderful thing. We learned together, we helped one another grow, we helped Beachbrook and the community, and I think the ripple effects from that will never be known. And we had a lot of help from Julianne Spoke, who consulted for years, helping us develop the learning organization. And she's here tonight, which I'm just thrilled about. We've had great board support, wonderful board chairs, who were willing to take risks, who are willing to rock the status quo. And this is a very status quo organization, and we've been around for 166 years next week. It's not easy to make sweeping changes here, but the board really came along with us and really helped us come along. Kathy Pender, Harry Holmes, Walt Stolpe, Cindy Crotty, Phil Dawson, and many, many others. And then there were people who weren't board chairs, but who were on the board and whose heart bled for kids. Nancy Klein, Gretchen Smith, Dick Mickle. Tons and tons of really great people. I've had such wonderful opportunities to work with such committed people. And colleagues at Beechbrook who grew into strong leaders. Many of those continue to this day, including Tom, our new CEO. Learning to advocate on a larger level, working with colleagues like Mark Meekum and Jeff Green, who's here tonight, from AWACA, Joan England and others at the Mental Health Advocacy Coalition, Bill Denahan at the ADAMS Board, the Ohio Council, the National Alliance for Families and Children, and other board and volunteer jobs really helped me grow and make a difference on a broader scale by helping kids by pushing for public policy that supports and helps children and families. I'm so grateful for that experience and for the amazing colleagues I enjoy in Ohio and in the US. And I want to just, my speech isn't over, but I'm going to just pause here for a minute and say, as one last thing I'm going to ask of you, before I don't have any authority here anymore, on the back table is a packet of advocacy for the CHIP program, which funds children's health care. Over 500 kids in Ohio alone are set to lose their health care. It's devastating. This has something to do with Beechbrook, but this is so far beyond Beechbrook. I really urge you, I've made it very easy. There's a simple description of it, and there's a listing of the senators and legislators. All you have to do is make a phone call. It really does make a difference. Tonight and tomorrow are the time. And if it doesn't get decided tonight or tomorrow, just keep calling. Do that for me. That's all I want from you for being here tonight. I've had the great honor to work on boards with great people. Danny Williams, Carol Metz, Mike Searing, Seth Wolf, Judge KJ Montgomery, many of whom are here tonight, and there are many others that I'm not even naming. I've just had such a great opportunity to help kids and families in this community through serving on boards. And so many treasured peers. Mike Mattoni, Frank Fesser, Jeff Green, Sue Berger, Deb Forkas, Jackie McCrae, Maureen D., Bob Math, Denise Seaman, and so many more. When you're in this field, you're really in the trenches. No one who hasn't been here can really know what it's like to feel so fervently and understand the needs so much and have such a challenge at getting the resources you need to be able to do them. Especially in this tumultuous time when the whole mental health field is shifting around, we cling to one another and we respect one another. And I am so grateful for the support I've had from those I named and from so many more. I can't wrap up my quick spin through my career without one more area of satisfaction, and it's been mentioned tonight already, but I have to say, I have been so grateful to have been able to serve as the first female CEO in Beechbrook's 166-year history. And as one of the very few women leaders of the large, established, traditional organizations. By being entrusted to lead here, and by succeeding in showing, yes, she can, I've doubled the potential capacity of the leaders here at Beechbrook and provided a model for women on their way up. One of my great sources of pride are the many women I've nurtured along the way, or some would say, pushed to grow. So many of them have gone on to powerful leadership positions and high-impact jobs, helping people outside of Beechbrook. Some that come to mind are Christy Chicatel, Jean Therian, Nancy Pepler, Melissa Winfield, Jean Solomon, Megan Bush, just to name a few. And I've been able to be a peer mentor to others. And others are still here and developing, and I see big things ahead for them. I always believed and still believe that a good leader sees talent and does everything she can to nurture it, even if it means giving tough messages. Because in this country and community, county and community, we desperately need leaders, people who are willing to grow, people who are willing to maximize their talent, to learn, work with, and through others to help those who really need it. P.S. I've pushed a lot of men and helped them grow too. And speaking of men, that brings me back to kids. That was a joke. But truly, all I ever wanted to do was help kids. My little brother, the kids at the park, my own very beloved children, the kids in the hood, kids in Ohio. And I wanted to help their parents. Every day, at least in the summer, I see two young parents who live beside me with their two young children, Audra and Adaya. Are they still here?
They were over there.
These parents serve as a model for me every day of what every child should have. They are kind, they are patient, they teach, they model compassion and hard work. They are present and they're attentive. And they are growing such lovely, loving children who are good citizens and who are going to help lead this world and fuel it with generational love and compassion. These are the children who are in my personal life today, and they give me great joy, as well as a continued commitment to help other children be able to thrive. My whole career has offered me the opportunity to help children and families. What a gift. I brought to it whatever raw talent I had. I let others help me grow. I challenged myself to learn. I made tough calls. And I feel like I was able to accomplish a lot with and through other people. I will always wish I could have done more. But I'm satisfied with what I leave behind. A solid, well-positioned organization with strong, motivated leader that I've mentored for years. Great talent and commitment in staff. A strong board and programs that help kids who need it every single day. I'm so filled with gratitude. Special gratitude to my children and husband. I hope that because I became a deeper, wiser, and more compassionate person through my work, that it made up for the dinners I didn't cook, the casual downtime I didn't have to share. And finally, I want to end by sharing a poem that I've used before, so some of you have heard it, but it so speaks to the commitment of so many here, and it has so fueled me. So if you'll just humor me one more minute. We pray for children who sneak popsicles before supper, who erase holes in math workbooks, who throw tantrums in the grocery store and pick at their food, who like ghost stories, and who can never find their shoes. And we pray for those who stare at photographers from behind barbed wire, who can't bound down the street in a new pair of sneakers, who were born in places we wouldn't be caught dead in, who never go to the circus, who live in an X-rated world. We pray for children who sleep with the dog and bury the goldfish, who bring us sticky kisses and fistfuls of dandelions, who get visits from the tooth fairy, who hug us in a hurry and forget their lunch money. And we pray for those who never get dessert, who have no safe blanket to drag behind them, who watch their parents watch them die, who can't find any bread to steal, who don't have any rooms to clean up, whose pictures aren't on anybody's dresser, whose monsters are real. We pray for children who spend all their allowance before Tuesday, who shove dirty clothes under the bed and who never rinse out the tub. who don't like to be kissed in front of the carpool, who squirm in church or temple and scream on the phone, whose tears we sometimes laugh at, and whose smiles can make us cry. And we pray for those whose nightmares come in the daytime, who will eat anything, who've never seen a dentist, who aren't spoiled by anybody, who go to bed hungry and cry themselves to sleep, who live and love, but have no being. We pray for children who want to be carried, and for those who must wait, for those we never give up on, and for those who don't get a second chance, for those we smother, and for those who will grab the hand of anyone kind enough to offer it. My friends, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for a wonderful career, and I ask you, offer your hand to children. Thank you.
For everything that you've done, and that's one of my favorite poems. She has read that before, and it always brings everybody back to the reason why we do the work that we do. On behalf of Beechbrook staff and thousands of kids and families whose lives Deb has impacted in such a positive way, we want to present you with some flowers in this small gift, tokens of our esteem and appreciation. And as is our tradition at Beechbrook as well, we would like to give Debbie a basket full of Beechbrook tchotchkes. Everything that has Beechbrook printed on it for the last 26 years. So do not ever forget us, and we're always in your heart. To stay and have some refreshments, and definitely give Deb your well wishes. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, so much.
For everything that you've done, and that's one of my favorite poems. She has read that before, and it always brings everybody back to the reason why we do the work that we do. On behalf of Beechbrook staff and thousands of kids and families whose lives Deb has impacted in such a positive way, we want to present you with some flowers in this small gift, tokens of our esteem and appreciation. And as is our tradition at Beechbrook as well, we would like to give Debbie a basket full of Beechbrook tchotchkes. Everything that has Beechbrook printed on it for the last 26 years. So do not ever forget us, and we're always in your heart. To stay and have some refreshments, and definitely give Deb your well wishes. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, so much.